Educational Testing and Accountability in Schools in the United States. Megan N. Cunningham, University of Nebraska, Kearney. Educational Testing and Accountability in Schools in the United States. Introduction. Testing and accountability practices are vital in order to determine the quality of education that students are receiving from educators. The determination of testing is instrumental in identifying students' strengths and needs, choosing the most effective instructional techniques, determining financial need of a school, and for the development of policies and legislation. Holloway, 2018. Background. In early societies, education had the purpose of passing on customs and practices. They were without structured institutions, evidence-based methods of teaching, and educational systems. This changed with the use of pedagogical education. The discipline that focuses on the efficient methods of teaching as well as practices in educational institution is known as pedagogy, found by a German philosopher and psychologist named Johann Friedrich Habart. This term originates from the Greek language paidos, meaning child, and gogia, meaning to guide. Initial pedagogical systems had the purpose of continuing traditional knowledge, including religion. Religion was central in many educational systems. Later, pedagogical education systems focused on teacher-student interactions, student-oriented, and real-world application. Mercadal, 2016. John Dewey, an American philosopher, psychologist, and educator, was a major contributor to the pedagogical education. He conducted experiments focused on different educational principles, now referred to as the Dewey School, founded by the University of Chicago in 1896. His research emphasized education for the purpose of preparing students for life practicing in a democratic society. Dewey was in opposition of institutions that implement authoritarian methods of education with formal curricula, favoring hands-on learning through activities. He believed that implement formal authoritarian style practices didn't prepare students for the real world. However, guidance and control practices were excluded from his antipathy. He also believed that teaching should be based on students' individualized needs and aptitudes. Dewey once stated, "Education, therefore, is a process of living and not preparation for future living." Dewey's practical views and sense of logic has had influence on many fields in addition to education. Funk, 2017. Educational testing. Educational testing reports student understanding of material presented to them, students' needs and assets, as well as a potential need for special services. These scores factor into educational decisions made by teachers, such as instructional methods and curriculum, financial aid that the school will receive from the government, and in the development of educational laws and policies. Holloway, 2018. Standardized testing has been implemented in many schools for the postulated objectivity, engaging achievement, and detecting needs and skills. Callie Holloway, a Salem Press Encyclopedia author, proposes, "These tests are frequently a source of anxiety and competitive pressure for students, and researchers are constantly exploring the validity and reliability of tests with regards to fairness for subgroups of students, as well as their actual predictive ability. For instance, measurements such as grade point average and SAT math scores are undergoing much research on whether these scores are valid and credible for predicting success in college." Holloway, 2018. Educational testing became a hot topic in the United States when No Child Left Behind Act was put into effect in 2002, when schools were labeled as merely meeting or failing to meet state standards of education. Marron, 2017. Accountability. Educators prior to the 1980s were expected to attain a score of proficient on basic skills and general didactic abilities evaluations in order to show general pedagogical abilities and knowledge of content matter. This standard was changed in 1983 when the National Commission of Excellence in Education created a report titled A Nation at Risk, where it claimed the educational foundations of society are presently being eroded by a rising tide of mediocrity that threatens our very future as a nation and as a people. Parentheses, A Nation at Risk, 1983, page 9. This report was the bias for 6 reforms handled by President Ronald Reagan. One of these reforms was intended to focus on the development of good teaching methods through pay and merit-based promotion. Moran, 2017. School funding is another way administrators and educators are held accountable. Systems of teacher evaluation, which positively correlate student growth to teacher performance, are required in order for schools to receive funding from the state government. These evaluations are also in determinations pertaining to tenure, dismissal, and compensation. Moran, 2017. Conclusion. Educational testing as a measurement of college preparedness and career aptitude are surrounded by much controversy. Many widely practiced and accepted tests are under much scrutiny for their validity and/or reliability, such as the SAT. That has research that suggests it is culturally and statistically biased against many minority groups. This test, like others, have research that finds bias against socio-economic status, such that students from disadvantaged families may not be able to afford expensive test preparation courses or pay the fee to take the test multiple times to get the best score, whereas students from wealthy families are more likely to have those opportunities. Stereotype threat and test structure are more factors that has an effect on these test scores based on such things as race and gender. Holloway, 2018. Accountability of educators is crucial for students to receive quality education. Not only does the quality of education determine funding that the school receives, but also play a role in teacher job security decisions. It is under much debate what the most effective method is to assess the quality of education that students receive. Moran, 2017. Furthermore, quality of education that citizens possess must be sufficient enough to be able to participate in a democratic society and live a successful life after graduation from school. Citizens must be capable enough to form a public opinion which is based on research and evidence, which must be learned in schools by a variety of activities such as research papers. Overall, the continual search for the most effective practices and methods must be conducted. This will perpetuate the advancement of individual and societal improvements, therefore improving quality of living for all. Thank you. Good night.